my speech today with a quote by the famous Buddha. He says, quote, "To enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him." A lot of us take our minds for granted. We're unaware of how powerful our minds actually are and how influential they are in our day-to-day life. But as Buddha kind of talks about there, that if we actually can learn to control and do some active techniques to control our minds, we can actually reap the benefits. I personally have a great respect for the mind, and it's something that genuinely fascinates me, so much so that I actually chose to major in psychology so I could learn a little bit more about it. One of the things that I've learned is that we as humans only use about 1/3 of our mind's potential. However, through proper technique and practice and control, we can have health, happiness, success, and so much more at our benefit. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. Starting off with how we can have happiness in the workplace, and then I'll talk a little bit about the health benefits the power of our mind can actually have, and then I'm going to talk about how it can bring success in even the world of athletics. So, for my first point, I'm going to talk about a little bit how we can find happiness in a place that we often have a hard time finding happiness, which is the workplace. You know, it's filled with a lot of stresses and due dates and bosses that never seem to be pleased. However, some of the research that I did actually found that through different techniques of the mind, we can reduce this stress. Sue Schellenberger, creator of the Work and Family section of the Wall Street Journal, wrote an article called "To Cut Off His Stress, Try Butterflies and Meditation" in the October 12, 2012 edition of the Wall Street Journal. In this, she talks about a study done at Union Pacific train station in which they took 680 different employees and actually taught them some different cognitive training online and through the phone training. And one of the things they did was even take a note card, and as they were having negative thoughts throughout the day, they would write those down and replace it with a positive thought. This study was done for 6 months, and at the end of the study, they actually found that over 94% of employees answered yes to being happy in the workplace after these tests were done, as opposed to only 79% who answered yes prior to these tests. So it just shows that, you know, through different techniques and the power of our mind, we can actually improve our overall happiness in somewhere like the workplace. So now that you know a little bit about that, I'm going to talk a little bit how the mind can actually have health benefits for us. In an article published in the Wall Street Journal on February 2nd, 2007 called "Why Thinking You Gotta Work Out May Make Your Body Healthier," Sharon Begley, Senior Health and Science Director at Rutgers, talks about a study conducted by Ms. Ellen Langer of Harvard University, in which she took 84 female housekeepers and actually told half of them, which was the control group, that their day-to-day work as housekeepers, actually served as a workout and fit into the healthy lifestyle. She told the other half of the female housekeepers nothing, just that they were being a part of a study. At the end of this study, they found that the control group, the females that actually thought that they were being a part, or actually thought that their job served as a workout, found that they lost an average of 2 pounds, saw their stylistic blood pressure drop 10%, and lost about 0.5 of their body fat, and reduced their body mass index by 0.35 of a point, which is pretty astounding when you think about it. There was actually no difference in what they were doing, and just what their mental thought on the whole entire idea was. So now that you can see the benefits that it can actually have in our overall health, I'm going to talk a little bit about how it can bring success in the world of athletics. And a lot of the research that I did, I found that most of the information done was actually in relation to athletics and sports psychology and stuff along those lines. And one of the articles I found, published June of 2012 in American Fitness magazine, written by Jillian Michaels, one of the leading health and wellness experts in the country, she actually states, quote, "We can use our minds to visualize the effects of exercise to achieve more dramatic results than from exercise alone," end quote. In the same article, when she's talking about here, and when she says we can use our minds to visualize the effects of exercise, what she's talking about is a common practice used by a lot of athletes, and called visualization, in which you're actually visualizing and thinking about the activity you're going to do before you're actually doing it. So it's like you're kind of practicing in your mind before you actually do it. One of the big advocates of this technique is Jack Nicklaus, and probably one of the most famous golfers of all time. He actually makes a statement, quote, "I never hit a shot even in practice without having a sharp and focused picture of it in my head. It's like a color movie," end quote. And while golfers use this technique, it can actually be found in other athletes, even among the likes of Olympic athletes. In this same article by Ms. Michaels, she talks about a study done by a group of Russian scientists in which they took 4 groups of Olympic athletes and divided them by their training regimen. As you can see, Group 1 had 100% focus on physical training only, and it goes down as you go Group 2, Group 3, all the way down to Group 4, in which they only use 25% of physical training, with the other part of their training being focused 75% on the mental aspects. This study actually concluded that Group 4, the ones that used 75% mental training, actually did better in the games, and they decided that visualizing mental images can act as a prelude to muscular impulses, which is, once again, it's pretty amazing when you think about how powerful the mind really actually can be, because once again, they're just using their mental, techniques and different processes as opposed to just doing the physical training, and it actually showed a lot of benefits, which is kind of going to wrap it up for me today. As I talked about how powerful our minds really are and how influential they can be. And I talked about how first it can bring us happiness in a place like the workplace, how it can bring us overall health, mentally and physically, and how it can bring success in the world of athletics. And as I started today off with a quote, I'm going to end today with a quote by one of the most intelligent minds of all time, even though he doesn't really look like it in that picture, in which Albert Einstein actually quotes, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." So we should try and remember the gift of the intuitive mind and use our minds to their full potential, and I hope you learned a little bit about how you can implement these techniques in your day-to-day life. Thank you.